Ferrari has spent the first year and a bit of F1's current regulations being adamant that it didn't need to change its design direction to follow the lead set by Red Bull to have any chance of catching Red Bull. Even recently, as we awaited the debut of a major update package at this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix, team boss Fred Vasseur was saying Ferrari wouldn't be changing concept because it had faith in the route it's been taking since the start of 2022. Then the new parts appeared in Barcelona and it looked a lot like a significant step towards a change of concept. But by Sunday night, Ferrari's competitive picture didn't look very different, leading to a miserable summary from Vasseur. So how big were the changes, what was Ferrari's logic for initially sticking with its unique design, and what made its team boss so downbeat by the end of the weekend? Ferrari's upgrade package comprised modified side pods and engine cover and tweaked floor edges. There was also a new rear wing, but this was circuit specific, and a detail change to the wing mirror casing that's an attempt to turn more airflow outwards, but is only a small effect. The key change was to the side pods. When Ferrari launched its 2022 car, it featured a distinctive bathtub design in the top surface. It continued with that style this year, but the Spanish Grand Prix upgrade is the first deviation from that. There's still that familiar shape, but the rear of the side pod has been cut away to create a small downwash ramp. This sweeps airflow down into the Coke bottle area where it's directed across the top of the diffuser exit. The old version focused on keeping the airflow on top of the side pods to inwash it towards the centre of the car to energise the beam wing and also have some impact on the diffuser. The upgrade will sacrifice some of that airflow to the beam wing but increase the mass flow at the rear above the diffuser exit. The top surface of the side pods has also changed. The outer edge has been reprofiled and created a narrower channel along the top of the side pod and an additional cooling exit feeding the channel on top of the side pods located just below the S-duct exit. There are also changes in the undercut area, including the area around the lower side impact system spur. Because of the change in the top surface profile, Ferrari is now able to turn the airflow in the undercut area less abruptly. This improved flow around the front corner of the side pod should also enhance the flow to the floor edges. Ferrari has increased the detail in this area and the turned up section towards the front of the floor is more aggressive. Further rearwards, there's now also a small slot that allows the airflow from this outer edge to be pulled into the tyre squirt. This is the flow effectively squeezed out or squirted by the tyre rotating in contact with the track surface. Ferrari has repeatedly poured cold water on the idea it needed fundamental changes to its car concept to take the fight to Red Bull. Even after Carlos Sainz suggested at the Australian Grand Prix that the capacity of development of the Red Bull direction is a lot higher than our project, team principal Fred Vasseur backs the untapped potential of the Ferrari. And speaking ahead of the Spanish Grand Prix weekend, Vasseur said the team had no interest in starting from scratch in a different direction, even if the Barcelona package didn't perform. He said that as long as I'm convinced that we can improve on the current car, it would be a mistake during the season to completely change the concept. He argued the time frame for what he called a completely different car would be too long, with such a change not ready until October, and he also wasn't convinced it would be better than what Ferrari already had. Clearly, the upgraded SF23 is the same chassis and it's not a completely fresh start. However, it's legitimate to consider it a change in concept and significantly one that inches Ferrari slightly closer to the Red Bull approach. The team has confirmed this development work started when the cars broke cover for pre-season testing, with the design and wind tunnel work undertaken over the past couple of months. When senior Ferrari engineer Jock Clear was asked why the team appeared to have suddenly given up on the design route it had stuck to up to now, he was refreshingly upfront about it. He said Ferrari had remained convinced that its unique approach was the way to go, but once it had a chance to evaluate a version closer to what Red Bull has, it's appeared on the car because it works. While the underfloor rather than the side pods are the key downforce generator, they work together. By adding the downwash ramp and fundamentally changing the management of the airflow around the side pods and to the rear of the car, this is a kind of concept change. As Clear explained, while the side pods are a secondary driver in downforce generation, they work closely with the floor. You can quibble about exactly what a concept change is, but this is a substantial shift in direction for Ferrari. Once the car had broken cover, Vasseur admitted in response to a question asked by our very own Scott Mitchell-Malm that this upgrade was partly introduced to set a new development direction. So much like Mercedes with its own recent change in direction, this is Ferrari shifting to a slightly different philosophy it expects to unlock more performance long term. Vasseur also confirmed that there will be more updates in the coming races and potentially also further opportunities to, as he put it, take another direction. The 2024 Ferrari is currently being worked on in the wind tunnel, so that will likely be a more significant evolution of this path. Given the prevailing trend, there's every chance this will send Ferrari further down the route Red Bull is leading the way on. But as the Spanish Grand Prix showed, Ferrari is a long way from fully understanding what it's doing wrong at the moment. As Vasseur admitted, this upgrade package was meant to have an immediate impact as well as open a new development direction in pursuit of further gains down the line. The reason Ferrari expected its car to be instantly improved is not specifically aerodynamic, although there will be an increase in downforce. Ferrari admitted the floor changes specifically come with a load benefit. In terms of raw pace, Ferrari arguably looks worse in Spain. Leclerc was a surprise elimination from Q1 with a mystery problem that Ferrari needs to investigate when it gets the car back to the factory, and although Sainz picked up the mantle of being Red Bull's nearest competitor over one lap by qualifying second, he was almost half a second off the pace in what was Ferrari's second biggest deficit to pole this season. And things didn't appear any better in the race, as Sainz slumped from the front row to 5th, dropping behind the Mercedes drivers and the recovering Red Bull of Sergio Perez. Sainz found it difficult to judge if the updates had made a difference in race trim because he felt this was always going to be one of Ferrari's worst circuits. As he put it, the weaknesses of the car come alive at a circuit like this because of how hard Ferrari is on its tyres over a stint. So rather than pushing to get the maximum out of the new spec parts in a race situation, Sainz's race was all about tyre management. He did at least beat both Aston Martins, which Ferrari has only managed once previously this season, but this appeared to be a bit of an off weekend for the green cars, so that wasn't particularly conclusive. More concerning was how much stronger Mercedes looked in the battle behind Red Bull, especially at a track that is supposedly the ultimate test of a car's potential. But while Sainz didn't want to pour too much cold water on Ferrari's fresh start, Vasseur was much more blunt. The Ferrari team boss said they'd made a step forward in terms of potential, but that was about as positive as it got. Most tellingly, he said Ferrari's global picture, his words not as, is the same. The gap between its performance in qualifying and the race is huge, and he said the team needs to put all of its focus on fixing this if it wants good results. He didn't agree with Sainz's view that tyre degradation masked Ferrari's progress, saying it wasn't the main issue. Vasseur's view is that the car remains inconsistent. He said not only is its performance unpredictable between the tyre compounds, but Ferrari can even run the same compound twice in a race and get a different car balance in each of those stints. Vasseur said Leclerc was complaining about the balance of his car from lap 1 in Spain. So while he felt that there was a step forward, he was clear that it was by far not enough, and he warned that even if Ferrari is increasing its potential, Mercedes is not sleeping, having put together a promising second weekend with the significant update it debuted in Monaco. Despite being the second fastest team on average over a single lap this year, Ferrari only has one podium finish and is 4th in the championship. The qualifying speed has often been hailed as evidence of the SF23's potential, but the clear difference in the car's competitiveness over one lap versus a race stint seems to lie in how dramatically the balance shifts from corner to corner, let alone lap to lap or through a whole stint. Leclerc and Sainz have often talked about how Ferrari's car is so peaky it gets knocked out of its best working window very easily. This gets masked in qualifying with grippy soft tyres, especially when conditions are settled too, as Ferrari's car also appears to be quite wind sensitive. But as soon as the variables change, Ferrari's car loses a lot of downforce. This either catches the driver out if they push too hard, or prompts them to drive conservatively to avoid that happening. As we've established, this is far from the end point for Ferrari's new direction. This is the start of a gradual and quite significant conceptual shift. After holding out hope for so long that backing its original design would pay off, how far Ferrari is willing and able to go in abandoning its initial concept will have a big impact on its prospects for 2023 and beyond.